Really want to put my logo on that one!
Hello everybody, and welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. So, Pokimane started a war recently, so we're going to be talking about it. As usual, we're going to take a look at both sides of this drama to see who's in the right and find out how all of it could be resolved. Okay, so let's get right into this. Pokimane is a streamer stroke internet personality and is actually one of the biggest faces of the Twitch platform, with over 6 million Twitch subscribers. She dropped out of college to pursue streaming and has made an excellent career off of Twitch donations and other forms of monetization ever since. Now, usually with large amounts of success, people can get swallowed up in it all and lose a sense of who they are as a person. Their sense of morality might change, and in many cases their ego can inflate insanely to the point where it can cause them and all the people they associate with quite a lot of issues. We've seen it happen with people in the past, and Pokimane is no exception. Pokimane's drama began when she responded to a video made reacting to her fans, or simps, donating ludicrous amounts of money to her because they find her attractive. Pokimane was outraged when she saw this video, almost being in disbelief that someone could say something negative about her. Keep in mind that this video was actually made as an accusation towards her fans for spending money on her, and it wasn't criticising her as a creator. She wasn't long to completely ignore the accusations of her fans being simps, and only watching her due to her appearance, hence the heaps of donations. She instead just jumped to the conclusion that Itza Gundam, the guy who made the video, was in fact just purely jealous of her success, and that drove him to make it.
It's funny though, because you can hear that the hint of envy is also a hint of jealousy.
I mean, he definitely made it because the idea of your fans spending thousands on you in hopes of getting something in return is very humorous in itself, but sure. Pokimane's had quite a tendency of trying to create a perfect image and representation of herself online to others, trying to eliminate any source of negativity towards her, which we'll be taking a look at a lot more later on. Pokimane likes to pretend that her fans are definitely not watching her because of her looks, but because of her great personality, humour and charm.
Fortnite streamers react to something and you
time like to find
put it together.
popular clips and trending clips and then like edit it and like give credits to the...
So, Pokimane obviously wasn't happy about this video potentially ruining her image, and therefore she sent her angry mob of fans that watch her purely for her personality and nothing else after him, and got his sponsors took off him, purely because he made a video talking about her simps that were willing to give her their last penny if they had to. There are much better ways of going about solving this, but if you want to ruin a man's career, then you do you. She's very used to being above the rules, especially on Twitch. Even recently, she accidentally showed an inappropriate site that would usually get anyone banned. Of course, she just got a warning, because it's okay if someone deemed attractive does it. XQC did the exact same thing and instantly got banned, so it doesn't particularly seem fair. She doesn't seem to think she can do anything wrong, and I'm getting deja vu right now because this certainly reminds me of another video I made just a couple of weeks ago. When will people learn to take criticism? Once again, people are being silenced for having negative views of a particular person. The only issue is Pokimane actually has a lot of power in the realm of content creation due to her influx of fans that practically worship her, causing grief for whoever has said an ill word against her. Pokimane continued to try and defend herself and why her fans aren't simps, which obviously isn't wrong in itself, but trying to pretend that nobody is watching her for her appearance is quite a bold claim to try and give herself credibility as a content creator, especially considering that an entire Reddit dedicated to lewd pictures and videos of her has more subscribers than her official Reddit, and dear god, that place is terrifying. After this occurrence, though, everybody on the internet seemingly went a bit quiet and no major drama or issues followed, as people just accepted that Pokimane was going to be able to take down whoever she wanted, and most people just wanted to avoid the situation and give in to her antics to avoid being ripped to shreds by her angry swarm of thirsty 12-year-olds. The sad thing is, she seems to believe she owns the internet and she can decide what is allowed online and what isn't. She seemed very confident when she was going to ruin certain creators in the past. There seems to be a trend of people thinking they can dictate what is and what isn't allowed on the internet nowadays, and want to create an image of perfection, which is quite hard considering nobody is actually perfect. Pokimane looked like she had won as the initial drama started to die down, and people being too scared to call her out further in fear of their channels getting clapped. But then out of the blue, Leafy is here called her out for literally sitting down blankly staring at a screen for a few hours, which was great. Somebody needed to say something.
If you're a big fan of her, please come at me. Come at me, seriously. Dislike the video and leave a mean comment.
He's actually managed to squeeze like 5 videos out of it already, which is pretty insane. Although sometimes, just sometimes, Pokimane wouldn't just sit watching her videos. She might spice things up a bit by eating for an hour or so whilst watching stuff instead. So props to her for that, I guess. She's more creative than we thought. This was the second time she had been associated in drama in the period of about a couple of months. This time being clowned on for her lazy ways of making content on streams by simply watching videos, providing no additional means of content or entertainment on top of it. Or as everyone else likes to call it, stealing. This began to spark a debate in the YouTube scene, and people started discussing the idea of what makes for additive content, and what is just blatant stealing off of other creators. This was when the cyber war between Twitch streamers and YouTubers spiralled out of control. There's a lot of people who make similar content to hers, XQC being an example, where they sometimes will watch videos or shows in their entirety, while saying a total of 1 or 2 words through it all, interlaced with a few quirky facial expressions. XQC made the argument that additive content is subjective, and even though some people might commentate more on certain content than others, it depends on the type of person they are and their audience. And this is true, because we all have our opinions of good content, but it doesn't necessarily excuse them sitting down as donations roll in, letting other people's content carry their streams for hours. I get that there's nothing wrong with watching clips like this, since most people might discover new content due to their favourite streamers reacting to their content. But I think it becomes a bit morally wrong when they start relying on this sort of lazy content too much, being able to turn on their cameras and sit down watching YouTube videos and eating, whilst thousands of pounds worth of donations roll in. I mean, we all do that for free, so what makes them so special? These streamers then often upload their VODs to their YouTube channels, which for anyone who doesn't know, is a type of channel where they upload uncut versions of their streams for anybody to watch on demand, in case they missed the stream or parts of it and want to catch up. These videos will be plagued with mid-rolls, and yet again, they make even more profit off of it. Pokimane herself isn't subject to this because I haven't actually seen a VOD channel of hers that she is directly associated with on YouTube, but being able to do this as a job is still insane. But no, in all seriousness, I think people have been losing the focus with this drama, as Pokimane is getting most of the heat for this sort of content, when there are plenty of other people on both Twitch and YouTube making identical, and if not worse content, who are making an insane profit off of it.
Who has the biggest ears here? Some nice looking ears. I got a big... Oh, Dina got some big ears too, not as big as mine.
Yeah, it's wrong, but it's not something that Pokimane herself has created. There are plenty of people who make content of this sort that are much worse than Pokimane, and I definitely do want to be making a video on that another time. Therefore, I don't agree with Pokimane necessarily getting hate purely for the content she is making, since there is obviously a market for it, and people are making quite a success of it. So she would obviously take advantage of it. The trouble really comes from her fans' toxicity and undying loyalty to her no matter what she does. Ruining a good career opportunity for someone online just because they said some things that upset you is absolutely ludicrous, and this is what I can't believe she is getting away with. People seem to have forgot what actually stemmed all of this, which was her inability to handle criticism. Once again, just like someone else we know. There is no way she isn't aware that the majority of her audience isn't there for her personality. I mean, if she ever actually took a look at her Twitch chat, it really speaks for itself.
He donated $600. I love you, please be my girlfriend.
She obviously sees herself as quite an influential figure in the community, which, let's be honest, she is. But it's almost as if she has let that ego consume her, leading her to believe that she is loved by everyone, and anybody that speaks against her is being deluded or irrational. I mean, having an audience that worships you like she does could definitely be a key factor coming into play here. The Reddit dedicated to fans that think she is attractive, Pokimane hot, once again sums this up pretty well. A big percentage of female Twitch streamers are often ridiculed for taking advantage of men who are watching them just for their body, and some make it blatantly obvious and like to appeal to those men watching in hopes of more donations. But let's take a look at this from Pokimane's point of view and see if what she is doing is entirely in the wrong. And once again, don't spare me. I think Pokimane, being the huge name she is, wants to stand out from those other streamers, which are viewed as taking advantage of their audience, which is totally understandable if you want to differentiate yourself from them. I don't know why you would want to be known as someone who shows off their body online to get donations from sweaty and likely prepubescent males paying with their parents' credit card. However, no matter what she says, this is the sort of audience she has acquired, and she's definitely never addressed it as a problem, even though she knows too well what the majority of her audience is like. So if she doesn't have a problem with a big percentage of that audience being that way inclined, why not just own it? You're not purposely trying to sexualise yourself for your viewers, so it's their choice how they view you. But the fact that she can sit there, watching people who practically worship her because of her looks, donating thousands of pounds to her, and still try to defend the whole thing, saying there is no issue with it. If people want to waste large amounts of money on you, that's fine, but don't blame other creators for pointing this out when you know too well what's happening. You're not a retard, you know too well what your audience is like. Stop lying to yourself. You could have just took It's a Gundam's original video on the chin, because you like to give the impression you're not like these other female streamers, but if you really think that's the case, then why'd you act so defensive and send a vicious attack towards them? Criticism is allowed anywhere online, and most of it helps us grow as people. Depending on people's opinions of this video, they can like and dislike it and leave comments, and that helps me know what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. But at the end of the day, we decide what to listen to and take action upon, and what we ignore, and it's exactly the same for Pokimane. The video was made to ridicule people who spend ridiculous amounts of money for her with no gain from it, which she never actually directly addressed anyway. Even as she is reacting to the video, you can hear the donations rolling through.
I don't know how else to say, fucking do better, you know?
The truth is, the video wasn't even about her, just stupid people spending crazy amounts of money on her. Yet she saw it as an outrageous situation that she had to ruin his sponsorship deals, and tried to ruin him for saying things she didn't agree with. The sad thing is, there were probably 13-year-old children that could have handled this situation a lot better than she has, and she definitely hasn't seemed to have grown up at all. Now, in Pokimane's defence, the main focus of that video was a tweet claiming that someone went homeless for her, but it was later found out that this tweet was posted by a meme page, however, so its credibility is questionable and isn't directly true. Although I don't for one second doubt he most likely spent a lot of money on her within his lifetime. Therefore, It's a Gundam's video could definitely be seen as spreading a false narrative, despite the main focus and message of his video being that people should stop donating to streamers because of their looks. Therefore, she would be in the right to be angry. Despite the video not being about her but more so her fans, it was still creating a bad reputation for her based on something that wasn't actually based on fact. It's quite obvious that she knows too well that there are men that spend money on her that find her attractive, but there's nothing wrong with that. The video, and especially its title, was clowning on a tweet of a man that had apparently almost gone homeless because of Pokimane. This was later found out to be fabricated though, like I said, and not entirely true, and it's understandable that it annoyed her. However, she then decided that sending a tidal wave of hate to him via her fans would teach him a lesson for speaking ill of other people, or more specifically her, because you can't say anything wrong about her if you don't want to get cancelled. Although this didn't really work out in her favour, when some people came from her stream and actually subscribed to him because what he was saying made sense, despite her dealing with this situation in quite a childish manner, with her main source of anger coming from the fact that someone had dared to criticise her online. The video also wasn't entirely true in itself, so she understandably got angry. There were other ways of dealing with things like this though, and trying to attack his online career was not a good way of doing so. She could have simply addressed it to her fans claiming the tweet was false, but she instead sent people over to target his channel and dislike his videos simply because she didn't like the fact he called some of her fans simps. Further friction then made its way onto the scene when it was found out that Pokimane had a boyfriend. Yes, because this apparently matters. In all honesty, it's a bit mental that after so much time of her fans continuously asking her on stream, she's finally going to come out with the truth. So, let's find out because I'm ecstatic.
Are you single? I actually don't get this question much when it comes to streaming, and I think it's because my regular audience, like I've answered this question so many times over 7 years. I'd like to explain that ever since I started streaming at 17, I kind of made the rule of not really talking about my private life publicly, and I think that's because I understood that, you know, between the ages of like 17 to 23, 24, I'm bound to meet different people, get into different relationships.
Oh, okay then. I think it's a bit suspicious that she tries really hard not to give any direct answer, but also spends so much time on the topic trying to defend why she isn't saying anything. It's almost as if she knows too well that a big proportion of her audience wouldn't be happy with this news, leading to a dramatic dip in her Twitch donation money. She lives off simps for a living, so you can see how carefully she is wording her way around this question. Her audience of people who would never be there because they found her attractive got unusually angry when they found out that their queen Poki might be dating someone. and shortly afterwards she actually started losing subscribers. I think at this point there's no way she could ever deny the real reason the majority of her fans are subbed to her. In all honesty, she would probably make a whole lot better of a career by opening up an OnlyFans or something like Belle Delphine did. At least then she wouldn't be trying to hide behind a wall of false online credibility. Shortly afterwards, Pokimane has come out saying that she is taking a break from streaming and the internet. Her post to Twitter says the following: "Hi friends, since quarantine began it's been hard for me to find the same joys and motivation for making content. The things I look forward to the most, like visiting my family, travelling, going to conventions, and meeting some of you, aren't possible right now. This has led me to feeling burnt out for quite some time, and because of that I've been planning on taking a month off. I recognise that I'm very lucky to be able to work during a pandemic, however I still need to do what's best for my mental health. I haven't taken a month off since I graduated from high school over 6 years ago, and I feel long overdue for some time away from my career and online expectations. Now, it's very obvious that this break has been sparked because of her recent drama, and some people might see it as her trying to get away from the drama without addressing it, and waiting for it all to blow over. However, I believe that this is probably a good thing. I'm not saying that in a negative way. I think it's important she clears her head, and maybe when she comes back she can have a better grip on reality, and hopefully be able to differentiate between what is acceptable for her to do as a content creator and what isn't. So, in conclusion, I think Pokimane has made quite a few mistakes recently, although that could definitely be described as a huge understatement. It looks like her rise to fame has made her want to create a flawless image of herself online, since her fans idolise her and see her as the personification of perfect. Creating a perfect image isn't easy though, and battling everyone who has something negative to say about you isn't necessarily the way to go. This is the internet, and people can say what they want. But recently people have found themselves silenced more over fear of cancel culture and losing sponsorships. People shouldn't have to be scared of giving their own opinions, and people should never use their own fame to silence opinions they don't agree with. It's honestly ridiculous. But also, what do you think about Pokimane's recent actions? Do you think she deserves the hate she is getting, or do you think she hasn't really done anything wrong? It'd be great to see some of your opinions in the comments below. Thanks for watching everyone as usual, and stay safe.